November 1943. 16 million Americans in uniform. Thanksgiving in foxholes, on battleships, in bomber cockpits across 2 oceans. Picture this. It's Thursday, November 25th, 1943. Your brother serves in North Africa. Your son flies missions over Germany. Your husband prepares for island invasion in the Pacific. Thanksgiving arrives, whether they're ready or not. The military moved heaven and earth to give soldiers turkey. Supply planes dropped frozen birds into combat zones. Navy ships carried thousands of pounds across oceans. But most soldiers ate from cans. These weren't restaurant meals. These were celebrations improvised under fire, feasts cobbled together from rations and ingenuity. Traditions maintained despite everything war threw at them. War correspondents documented these dinners. Military records preserved these menus. Soldiers wrote letters home describing what they ate on Thanksgiving, far from family. Today, I'm taking you back. When Thanksgiving meant something beyond food, it meant home. It meant America. It meant hope they'd survive to celebrate again. Stay with me. These 30 forgotten dinners tell how American soldiers maintained tradition while fighting for freedom across the world. Number 1. K-ration turkey hash. Private James Morgan opened his K-ration on Thanksgiving morning. November 1943, somewhere in Italy's mountains. Canned turkey meat, powdered potatoes, instant coffee. No table, no family, artillery rumbling in the distance. This was Thanksgiving in a foxhole. He heated water in his mess kit over a tiny flame, the smell of sulfur from matches mixed with damp wool and mud. He poured powdered potatoes into hot water, stirred until they thickened to something resembling mashed potatoes. The canned turkey came out in gray chunks, swimming in its own gelatin. He chopped it rough with his knife, mixed it into the potatoes, salt from his ration pack. Pepper, if he was lucky most soldiers, ran out weeks ago. During November 1943, American forces pushed through Italian mountains in brutal conditions. Hot Thanksgiving dinner was impossible. K-rations kept soldiers alive when field kitchens couldn't reach the front lines. The hash steamed in his mess kit, warming his hands through the metal. He ate it fast before it cooled. The taste was salty and starchy, nothing like home turkey, but warm and filling. Morgan shared cigarettes with his squad after eating. They talked about Thanksgiving back home. Every man describing his mother's table, his wife's cooking, the dinners they'd have again someday. That K-ration turkey hash sustained more than boadies. It marked the day as special despite everything. It meant Thanksgiving survived, even in a foxhole in Italy. Every bite carried home. Tradition lives in the smallest gesture. Soldiers maintain hope by celebrating anything. Survival finds gratitude in canned meat and powdered potatoes. Number 2. British pub Thanksgiving before Pearl Harbor. Thanksgiving was American tradition, unknown in England. After December 1941, American G is brought it to British pubs. War exported culture, along with soldiers, November 1942. When thousands of American soldiers stationed in England faced their first Thanksgiving away from home. Sergeant William Thompson in a small village near London wanted turkey. British rationing meant no turkey existed. Local pub owner offered roast beef instead. The pub's kitchen prepared what they could, not turkey, British substitute. Atlantic Ocean separated soldiers from tradition, but hospitality bridged the gap. The pub owner roasted beef better than Americans had seen in months. She made Yorkshire pudding, roasted potatoes, carrots from her victory garden. She apologized for no cranberry. Nobody in England had ever heard of cranberry sauce. During 1942's build-up to North Africa invasion, American soldiers struggled with homesickness. British civilians tried to ease it. Pub Thanksgivings became traditional Americans, teaching British about the holiday, British providing what food rationing allowed. Roast beef wasn't turkey, Yorkshire pudding wasn't stuffing, British hospitality wasn't home. But soldiers gathered in that warm pub, away from barracks, pretending for one evening they were somewhere familiar. Thompson's Pub Thanksgiving spread through American camps across England. G is finding friendly pubs teaching British owners about Thanksgiving. Roast beef replacing turkey from London to Liverpool throughout November 1942 and beyond. Every pub meal carried gratitude. Strangers become family in wartime. Adaptation preserves tradition. Survival celebrates with whatever allies provide. Would you have called roast beef Thanksgiving dinner? Made peace with Yorkshire pudding replacing stuffing? Drop a comment Tell me if you could adapt. Number 3. French farmhouse turkey, November 1944. Allied forces liberated French villages after D-Day. Thanksgiving arrived 6 months after landing at Normandy. Lieutenant Robert Chun's unit bivouacked in a small Norman village where French farmers insisted on preparing Thanksgiving dinner. The village had been under German occupation for 4 years. Food was scarce, but gratitude for liberation meant sharing whatever remained. French farmers brought out a turkey they'd hidden from Germans. Real bird, scrawny but alive. They slaughtered it for the Americans. Women plucked feathers, prepared it with herbs from gardens Germans couldn't find. The village baker used precious flour for bread. Farmers contributed wine they'd buried to keep from German officers. Children picked the last vegetables from fields. Everyone contributed something to thank their liberators. During autumn 1944, liberated French villages competed to host American soldiers. Thanksgiving gave them perfect excuse. These dinners represented gratitude, alliance, shared victory over occupation. That French turkey roasted in a farmhouse oven while Chen's squad stood guard outside. The smell drifted through village streets. French and American flags hung together from windows. Children played with American soldiers who gave them chocolate. The dinner combined French and American traditions, turkey with French wine, American soldiers, and French families. Liberation celebrated with food that meant freedom. The meal took hours. Nobody wanted it to end. Chen wrote home about that French Thanksgiving, best turkey he ever tasted. Not because of cooking, because of what it represented. Freedom shared between allies, every bite carried liberation. Gratitude crosses language barriers. Shared meals cement alliances. Survival celebrates freedom with whatever remains. Number 4. German POW Camp Thanksgiving. Captain David Miller spent Thanksgiving 1944 in Stalag Luft 3 German prisoner of war camp. No turkey, no freedom, no hope of going home soon. But Red Cross packages arrived sporadically, and Miller's barracks had been saving supplies. They pooled everything from 3 months of Red Cross packages: canned meat, condensed milk, crackers, chocolate bars, powdered coffee, cigarettes traded with guards for extra bread. Everything collected for one special meal. Miller organized the dinner-like mission planning. Every item inventoried, every man contributing. They'd celebrate Thanksgiving even as prisoners because the alternative was surrendering to despair. The turkey was canned meat, heated over a legal stove they'd built. Stuffing was crackers mixed with margarine. Pie was crushed, graham crackers with chocolate melted on top. Everything improvised from Red Cross rations and prison ingenuity. During 1944, Poe struggled to maintain morale as war dragged on. Holidays became critical for mental survival. Thanksgiving reminded them why they fought and that home still existed beyond barbed wire. 50 men crowded into one barracks for the meal. They said, grace of men crying quietly. They ate slowly, making it last. They sang American songs until guards told them to quiet down. That POW Thanksgiving sustained spirits when bodies were already sustained by rations. It proved that captivity couldn't capture everything. Germans controlled their bodies, but not their traditions, not their hope, not their American identity. Miller survived the war, came home, wrote about that Thanksgiving. Worst and best simultaneously. Worst because of captivity. Best because of what it represented: unbreakable American spirit. Every bite carried defiance. Prisoners maintained dignity through celebration. Hope lives in the smallest traditions. Survival finds freedom in refusing to surrender spirit. Number 5. Field kitchen stuffing. Corporal Samuel Washington worked field kitchen duty, Thanksgiving 1943, North Africa. His job, feed 500 soldiers, something resembling Thanksgiving. Army supplied bread cubes, canned mixed vegetables, dried herbs, nothing fresh. He soaked stale bread cubes in hot water until soft. The bread came from last week's delivery, hard as rocks, until water revived it. He drained it, squeezed out excess water, working fast because 500 men were waiting. Into huge pots went the softened bread. He opened cans of mixed vegetables, carrots, peas, corn swimming in salty water. He drained them, mixed them into bread. Dried sage, thyme, onion, powder, the only seasonings field kitchens carried. He melted lard in those massive pots, stirred it through the mixture. Salt and pepper, by the cupful. The stuffing heated through, the smell surprisingly good, considering it came entirely from cans and packages. During 1943, field kitchens were frontline morale operations. Getting hot food to soldiers meant everything for fighting spirit. Thanksgiving raised stakes. It had to feel special, even when made from the same supplies they ate every day. Washington's stuffing went into serving trays. Soldiers lined up with their mess kits. Each man got 2 large spoonfuls. Steam rose in the desert air. Men ate standing, sitting on tanks, leaning against supply trucks. That field kitchen stuffing spread across North Africa. Cooks sharing Washington's technique, his ratios, his tricks for making canned vegetables and stale bread taste like Thanksgiving. Every unit's cook trying to give soldiers one taste of home. Nobody called it gourmet, but soldiers called it Thanksgiving. That made it sacred. Washington received more thanks that day than any day before or after. He'd given them more than food, he'd given them home for 5 minutes. Every spoonful carried memory. Field cooks serve morale. Canned vegetables become tradition. Survival finds Thanksgiving in the simplest gestures. Number 6. Dehydrated sweet potatoes. Navy cook Thomas Martinez prepared Thanksgiving 1944 aboard destroyer in the Pacific. Sweet potatoes for 800 sailors. But fresh sweet potatoes couldn't survive weeks at sea. He had 50 pounds of dehydrated sweet potato flakes instead. He read instructions on the box. Add water, let sit, heat, serve. Simple on paper, reality was trickier. Aboard ship in rough seas, with limited fresh water for reconstitution. Martinez soaked the flakes in water for 2 hours. They swelled to triple their size, turning orange and thick. He added powdered milk, sugar from ships, stores, cinnamon, if the supply officer was feeling generous. He mashed everything together until smooth. The reconstituted sweet potatoes went into huge baking pans. He topped them with crushed graham crackers mixed with margarino marshmallows existed in military supply chains, into ships' ovens until tops browned and the smell filled the galley. During Pacific campaigns, feeding crews on long deployments challenged naval logistics. Dehydrated vegetables solved the problem. They lasted forever, weighed almost nothing, provided nutrition when fresh produce was impossible. Thanksgiving proved their value. 800 sailors lined up for Thanksgiving dinner. Each received turkey, stuffing, and sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes were different texture, odd, taste, chemical. But orange on their plates meant Thanksgiving, meant tradition, meant someone cared enough to try. Martinez's technique spread through Pacific Fleet. Every ship's cook learning to reconstitute dehydrated vegetables, to make them palatable, to turn science experiments into something sailors recognized as Thanksgiving. From destroyers to carriers, the same orange mixture appeared on November tables. Sailors joked about sawdust sweet potatoes, but they ate every bite, because it marked the day, because it meant home, because joking about bad food was better than no food at all. Every bite carried home. Science serves tradition. Dehydrated becomes celebration. Survival finds gratitude in reconstituted vegetables. Number 7. Spam and pineapple glaze before the war. Spam was cheap canned meat, barely respectable. After December 1941, Spam fed armies worldwide. Pacific supply depots shipped it everywhere, including European theater. November 1943, when Sergeant Frank Morrison in England received Pacific supply shipment by mistake. 50 cases of Spam, 50 cases of canned pineapple. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, supply error became culinary opportunity. Morrison opened cans carefully. Not turkey. Hawaiian mistake. But he'd make it work because soldiers deserved something special for Thanksgiving. He scored Spam loaves in diamond patterns like ham. He mixed brown sugar with pineapple juice, creating glaze. He baked Spam with glaze, basting it like proper holiday roast. Pineapple rings stuck to top with toothpicks whittled from wood. During 1943, supply chains crossed constantly. Pacific supplies reached Europe. European supplies went to Pacific. Cooks learned to work with whatever arrived. Thanksgiving demanded creativity when traditional ingredients went missing. Morrison's Spam came out of ovens golden and glazed. It looked almost elegant. The smell was sweet and porky. Soldiers lined up skeptically. Spam was daily ration, not celebration food, but glazed and decorated. It transformed into something worthy of Thanksgiving. The technique spread through British bases, cooks learning Morrison's glaze recipe, his baking method, his presentation tricks, Spam and pineapple becoming acceptable Thanksgiving substitute when turkey was impossible. American soldiers in England ate it, wrote letters home about tropical Thanksgiving. Some soldiers loved ETHA sweetness, the change from regular rations. Others tolerated ETHA at least. It marked Thanksgiving differently. All appreciated the effort. Morrison turned supply mistake into morale victory. Every slice carried innovation. Mistakes become opportunities. Spam becomes celebration with enough creativity. Survival glazes hope over canned meat. Number 8. Powdered egg custard pie. Baker Mary Wilson worked Army Hospital kitchen, Thanksgiving 1944, England. Orders: make pies for 500 wounded soldiers. No fresh eggs existed. She had 50 pounds of powdered eggs, condensed milk, sugar, flour, that was all. She reconstituted powdered eggs with water, according to instructions. They turned yellow but smelled wrong, sulfurous, artificial. She whisked them hard, trying to incorporate air, trying to make them behave like real eggs. She mixed reconstituted eggs with condensed milk, sugar, vanilla extract from medical supplies. Yes, vanilla came from medical alcohol stores. She made pastry crusts from flour and lard, blind baked them so they wouldn't get soggy. She poured custard mixture into crusts, placed them carefully in ovens. The chemistry was uncertain. Would powdered eggs set like real eggs? She watched anxiously through oven windows. The custards puffed, browned, set firm. Miracle of military food science. During 1944, fresh eggs were impossible in military supply chains. Powdered eggs solved the problem. Bakeries learned to work with them. Thanksgiving tested whether powdered eggs could handle actual baking beyond scrambled eggs for breakfast. Wilson's pies cooled on racks. She sliced them carefully, each piece perfect. Wounded soldiers received pie with Thanksgiving dinner. Men who'd seen too much suffered too much. Custard pie reminded them of grandmother's kitchen, mother's table, home waiting after war ended. Her technique spread through military hospital kitchens across England and Europe. Bakers sharing ratios, temperatures, tricks for making powdered eggs, working pies. Every hospital trying to give wounded soldiers something sweet for Thanksgiving. Soldiers tasted that pie and closed their eyes. It wasn't perfect, but it was pie. On Thanksgiving, in a hospital far from home, that made it the best pie they'd ever eaten. Every bite carried home. Science enables tradition. Powdered eggs become love. Survival bakes hope for the wounded. Would you eat pie made from powdered eggs? Could you taste home in artificial ingredients? Hit like if you'd try it. Number 9. Ration cranberry sauce. Lieutenant James O'Brien commanded platoon in France. November 1944. Thanksgiving packages from home hadn't arrived. Sea rations were only food available. But his ration box contained cranberry sauce, jellied, canned, perfect cylinder. He opened the can with his P38 can opener. The cranberry sauce slid out intact, keeping the can's shape. Ridge lines from the can visible on its surface. It wobbled when he set it down. O'Brien sliced it like bread. Each man in his platoon got one slice bright red against their mess kit medal. The cranberry sauce tasted sweet and tart, exactly like canned cranberry from home Thanksgivings. They ate it with canned turkey hash, canned biscuits, instant coffee, nothing fresh, nothing hot, except coffee, but that cranberry sauce transformed the meal. One familiar taste made everything else feel more like Thanksgiving. During November 1944, rations kept frontline soldiers fed during rapid advance across France. The cranberry sauce showed military planners understood Thanksgiving mattered, including one traditional item made soldiers feel remembered, valued, connected to home. O'Brien's platoon ate slowly, making it last. They joked about the jelly's perfect can shape. They argued about whether homemade or canned was better. Normal conversation about normal food while sitting in French mud during war. That ration cranberry sauce appeared in millions of ration boxes in November 1944. Every soldier opening his rations, finding one familiar item. Every platoon slicing it, sharing it, grateful for something that tasted exactly like home. Military planners included cranberry sauce in Thanksgiving rations through war's end. Small detail that made huge difference. Soldiers remembered that gestures. Someone cared enough to add tradition to combat rations. Every slice carried tradition. Familiar taste provides anchor. Canned cranberry becomes sacred. Survival finds home in Number 10. Victory Garden green beans. Corporal Robert Thompson's unit liberated French village. November 1944. French families contributed whatever they could. Mrs. Dubois brought green beans from her Victory Garden hidden from Germans throughout occupation. She'd grown them in secret patch behind barn. Germans took official crops, but Victory Garden fed her family and now would feed their liberators. She picked the last beans before frost, saved them for something special. She cooked beans, French-style butter, garlic shallots that survived in her root cellar. Simple preparation showcasing the vegetable itself. No fancy sauce, no heavy cream rationing meant basics only, but basics done perfectly. The beans arrived at communal dinner table, bright green and glistening. Steam rose, carrying garlic and butter aroma. American soldiers had eaten canned vegetables for months. Fresh beans seemed impossible luxury. During autumn 1944, Victory Gardens throughout liberated Europe represented resistance and survival. Growing food Germans couldn't confiscate meant maintaining dignity under occupation. Sharing that food with liberators meant gratitude words couldn't express. Thompson tasted those beans and almost cried. Fresh vegetables, real butter, the simple act of eating something that grew from the ground instead of came from a can. Normality in the middle of war, Victory Garden vegetables appeared on Thanksgiving tables throughout liberated France. Every village sharing what they'd hidden, what they'd saved, what represented their refusal to surrender everything to occupation. Green beans, carrots, potatoes, simple vegetables carrying profound meaning. Mrs. Dubois's garden fed more than Baudy's. It proved that humanity survived occupation, that generosity flourished despite deprivation, that liberation meant more than military victory. It meant sharing abundance again. Every bean carried freedom. Gardens resist occupation. Fresh vegetables celebrate liberation. Survival grows hope from hidden seeds. Number 11. Jungle turkey hunt. Private Michael Santos and his squad spent Thanksgiving 1944 in Philippine jungle. No supply drops for weeks, rations running low. But wildfowl lived in the jungle, not turkeys, but large game birds that might pass for Thanksgiving if desperation allowed. Santos and 3 others went hunting with rifles meant for combat. They stalked quietly through dense jungle, sweat soaking their uniforms. They spotted a large bird, maybe pheasant, maybe something else roosting in a tree. One shot brought it down. The bird was tough and stringy, nothing like farm-raised turkey, but it was fowl. On Thanksgiving, that made it turkey in their minds, if not in reality. They plucked feathers beside a stream, gutted it carefully, washed it in clean water. They roasted it over open fire, no oven, no basting, just meat and flame and hunger and determination to mark Thanksgiving somehow. During late 1944, soldiers in Pacific Theater faced brutal conditions. Supply lines stretched thin. Fresh food was memory. Hunting supplemented rations when possible. Thanksgiving gave purpose to hunting, not just survival, but celebration. The bird roasted unevenly, burned in places, raw in others. They cooked it thoroughly eventually, carved it with combat knives. Each man in the squad got portion tough, gamey, strange tasting, but they called it turkey and meant it. Santos's jungle turkey hunt became legend in his unit. Other squads tried hunting for Thanksgiving. Some succeeded, most didn't. All appreciated the gesture, the effort to maintain tradition despite impossible circumstances. That wild bird fed bodies and spirits. It proved that Thanksgiving could happen anywhere. That American soldiers carried tradition into the jungle. That celebration persisted despite everything jungle and war threw at them. Every bite carried determination. Tradition survives anywhere. Wild fowl becomes turkey through will. Survival hunts hope in the jungle. Number 12. Aircraft carrier Thanksgiving. USS Enterprise's galley crew faced impossible task. Thanksgiving dinner for 5,000 sailors, November 1943. Supply ship delivered frozen turkeys, but cooking and serving 5,000 meals aboard carrier during active operations challenged every resource. Head cook organized military precision. 30 cooks working rotating shifts. 20 ovens running continuously. Turkey after turkey roasted while flight operations continued overhead. Steam-filled galley, sweat-soaked uniforms, but nobody stopped. They calculated portions, exactly 5,000 servings of turkey, stuffing potatoes, gravy, rolls. Every sailor would get identical meal. No officers ate better than enlisted. Thanksgiving was democracy, equality, shared experience, regardless of rank. The serving began at 0600 and continued through 2200. Sailors ate in shifts between watches, between flight operations, between battle stations drills. Some ate fast, some savored it. All appreciated the miracle of hot turkey aboard ship in the Pacific. During November 1943, Navy logistics performed miracles. Getting frozen turkeys to carriers operating thousands of miles from any port required planning. Refrigeration, determination. Thanksgiving mattered enough to justify the effort and expense and difficulty. 5,000 sailors got real turkey that day, not canned, not dehydrated, not substituted. Real roasted turkey with real stuffing and real gravy. The smell filled the carrier. Men off watch lined up early. Men on watch ate fast before returning to stations. That Enterprise Thanksgiving became legendary. Other carriers attempted similar feats. Some succeeded, all tried. Because feeding sailors turkey meant Navy cared, meant tradition survived, meant home existed despite months at sea. The galley crew worked 18-hour shifts making it happen. They were exhausted, burned, sweat-soaked, but they'd given 5,000 sailors Thanksgiving. That made every blister, every burn, every aching muscle worthwhile. Every bite carried home. Logistics enabled tradition. 5,000 servings equal love. Survival feeds hope to thousands. Number 13. Island-hopping coconut stuffing Marines landed on Pacific Island, November 1944. Securing it days before Thanksgiving, field kitchen supplied turkey and basic supplies. But Sergeant David Chen wanted traditional stuffing. No bread existed. Coconuts grew everywhere. Chen cracked coconuts, extracted meat, shredded it fine. The texture resembled breadcrumbs, if you didn't think too hard. He mixed it with canned vegetables, herbs from ration packs, margarine melted in mesquite. The coconut stuffing tasted tropical and strange, nothing like bread stuffing, but it provided texture, bulk, something besides plain turkey. Innovation born from necessity and determination to maintain tradition despite circumstance. He baked it in makeshift oven constructed from ammunition crates and hot coals. Temperature control was guesswork. The stuffing either burned or stayed raw. Eventually he found right balanced crispy top, moist inside, edible throughout. During Pacific campaigns, soldiers learned to use local resources. Coconuts provided food, water, oil, building material. Turning them into Thanksgiving stuffing represented ultimate adaptation-making tradition from whatever the island provided. Chen's platoon ate coconut stuffing with turkey. Some men loved the tropical twist. Others missed bread stuffing terribly. All acknowledged the effort Chen, refusing to let location prevent Thanksgiving tradition. The coconut stuffing technique spread through Marine units island hopping across the Pacific, each cook adding their own variation, their own improvements. From Tarawa to Okinawa, coconut stuffing appeared wherever Marines landed, and coconuts grew. Chen survived the war, came home, never made coconut stuffing again, but he remembered that island Thanksgiving. Remembered proving that tradition survives anywhere. Remembered the importance of refusing to surrender celebration to circumstance. Every bite carried adaptation. Location shapes tradition. Coconuts become comfort food. Survival finds hope in tropical innovation. Number 14. Submarine Thanksgiving. USS Wahoo celebrated Thanksgiving 1943, submerged on patrol. Everything came from cans. Everything lasted forever. Nothing was fresh. Cook Timothy Walsh faced challenge. Make Thanksgiving dinner from supplies that could survive months underwater. Walsh inventoried their stores. Canned turkey, canned vegetables, canned cranberry sauce, canned pumpkin. Even bread was canned survived, better underwater than anything fresh. His entire menu would be shelf-stable, preserved, nothing fresh except creativity. He heated canned turkey in its own gelatin until it broke apart. He thickened the gelatin with flour, creating gravy. He opened cans of mixed vegetables, heated them, seasoned heavily with salt and pepper and dried herbs. The submarine's tiny galley barely accommodated Walsh and one assistant. They worked in shifts, heating food, plating it, passing it through to the crew. 80 men would eat in shifts in space, smaller than most people's dining rooms. During 1943, submarine crews faced unique hardships, confined spaces, recycled air, weeks submerged without seeing sky. Maintaining morale was survival necessity. Thanksgiving provided brief mental escape, reminder that world outside submarines still existed. 80 men ate Thanksgiving dinner in shifts. Some ate at their stations, some ate quickly, then returned to watch. All ate everything, no waste possible on submarine. Every scrap of food precious, every calorie necessary. Walsh's canned Thanksgiving spread through submarine service. Every boat trying to mark the holiday despite impossible conditions. Cooks competing to create best meal from worst ingredients. Submarine Thanksgivings becoming source of pride and dark humor. That Wahoo crew ate canned food and called it Thanksgiving because they refused to let circumstance destroy tradition. Submarine couldn't contain their American identity, couldn't submerge their need to celebrate, couldn't dive deep enough to escape Thanksgiving. Every bite carried defiance. Confinement cannot contain tradition. Canned food becomes sacred. Survival celebrates submerged. Number 15. Spam roast with pineapple before Pearl Harbor. Spam was mainland food, cheap and forgettable. After December 1941, Hawaii became Central Pacific Supply Depot. Spam became island delicacy. November 1942, when Corporal James Wong worked Supply Depot in Honolulu. Thousands of soldiers stationed in Hawaii for Thanksgiving. Supply Depot had warehouses of spam, fields of pineapples. Wang combined them for Thanksgiving feast. Wang stacked spam loaves vertically, creating tower, not turkey. Processed meat, pyramid. But basted with pineapple glaze, it looked almost festive and definitely unconventional. He scored spam surfaces in crosshatch patterns. He made glaze from crushed pineapple, brown sugar, soy sauce from local Japanese markets. He basted spam tower repeatedly while it baked, glaze caramelizing, pineapple turning golden. During 1942, Hawaii struggled feeding massive military presents. Spam arrived by the shipload. Pineapples grew everywhere. Combining them created uniquely Hawaiian military Thanksgiving. Local ingredients, meeting mainland tradition and tropical adaptation. 5,000 soldiers ate Wong's spam roast for Thanksgiving 1942. Some thought it brilliant, some thought it sacrilege. Most were grateful for anything marking the day as special and providing protein beyond daily rations. Wong's recipe spread through Pacific supply depots, Hawaii to midway to Wake Island. Wherever pineapples grew and spam accumulated, cooks created glazed spam roasts. Pacific Thanksgiving became synonymous with that specific combination. Wong survived the war, opened restaurant in Honolulu serving spam and pineapple. Tourists thought it was joke. Locals and veterans knew it was traditional reminder of when spam and pineapple meant Thanksgiving, meant survival, meant hope. Every slice carried memory. Tropical ingredients create new traditions. Spam becomes celebration with pineapple. Survival glaze is hope over processed meat. Number 16. Dehydrated mashed potatoes. Navy cook aboard destroyer, Thanksgiving 1944. 800 sailors expecting mashed potatoes. No fresh potatoes survived weeks at sea. 25 pounds of dehydrated potato flakes was what supply officer provided. Add water, stir, serve. Cook Martinez read instructions skeptically. Ratio seemed wrong. Too much water would make soup. Too little would make paste. Trial and error was only option when feeding 800 men under combat conditions. He mixed potato flakes with hot water slowly, stirring constantly. The mixture thickened, turned pale yellow, smelled vaguely like potatoes but also vaguely like cardboard. He added powdered milk, margarine, salt by the handful. The reconstituted potatoes resembled real mashed potatoes, if you didn't look too close or think too hard. Texture was wrong to smooth, too uniform, no lumps, indicating real potatoes died to make this, but it was hot, starchy. During Pacific campaigns, dehydrated vegetables solved massive logistics problems. Fresh potatoes rotted. Canned potatoes were too heavy. Dehydrated potatoes lasted forever. Weighed nothing, could feed armies if properly reconstituted. Thanksgiving proved whether they were acceptable. 800 sailors received turkey and dehydrated mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving 1944. They joked about instant potatoes and sawdust special, but they ate it all. Because it was Thanksgiving, because someone tried, because mashed potatoes meant tradition even when made from flakes. Martinez's technique spread through Pacific Fleet. Every cook learning proper water ratios, proper mixing methods, tricks for making flakes palatable. Dehydrated mashed potatoes appearing on every ship's Thanksgiving menu by war's end. Sailors never forgot those instant potatoes. After the war, seeing dehydrated potatoes in grocery stores brought back memories. Some bought them nostalgically. Most avoided them permanently. All remembered Thanksgiving at sea. Every spoonful carried memory. Science enables celebration. Flakes become tradition through effort. Survival mashes hope from dehydrated ingredients. Number 17. Tropical fruit salad medic, stationed in Philippines. Thanksgiving, 1944. Standard Thanksgiving menu featured apple salad impossible in tropical climate, with no refrigeration and no apples. But papayas, mangoes, bananas grew wild nearby. Private David Santos picked fruit morning of Thanksgiving. Papayas orange and sweet, mangoes fragrant and sticky, bananas perfectly ripe. He'd grown up in California, never tasting most tropical fruits. War taught him new flavors. He peeled and chopped fruit carefully, avoiding any bruised sections. Tropical heat meant fruit spoiled quickly. He squeezed lime juice over everything, preventing browning and adding tartness. Sugar from medical supplies sweetened it slightly. The fruit salad looked beautiful: orange papaya, yellow mango, white banana. It tasted nothing like apple salad. Tropical, sweet, completely unfamiliar. But colorful and fresh was rare enough to make any fruit salad precious. During Pacific campaigns, fresh fruit prevented scurvy and boosted morale. Local tropical fruits supplemented rations when supply lines stretched thin. Thanksgiving provided excuse to forage, to create something special from jungle abundance. 50 soldiers shared Santos's tropical fruit salad. Some had never tasted papaya or mango. War introduced them to fruits that didn't grow anywhere near their hometowns. Thanksgiving became education as much as celebration. Tropical fruit salads spread through Pacific units wherever fruit grew wild. Soldiers learning to identify ripe fruit, to prepare it safely, to incorporate it into American traditions. Thanksgiving adapting to location while maintaining its spirit. Santos came home, tried making tropical fruit salad for family Thanksgiving. It didn't taste right. Supermarket fruit lacked jungle freshness, lacked the context of war and survival. Some memories can't be recreated, only remembered. Every bite carried place, location, shapes, tradition. Tropical fruits replace apples. Survival finds sweetness where it grows. Number 18. Army cook in China-Burma India theater. Thanksgiving, 1944. Traditional pumpkin pie impossible. No pumpkins grew in Burma. No canned pumpkin reached supply lines. But rice was everywhere. Condensed milk arrived in rations. Together, they became pudding. Sergeant William Thompson boiled rice in extra water until it softened and swelled. He added condensed milk, sugar, cinnamon, raisins from his own ration pack saved for weeks. Specifically for this, the mixture simmered slowly, rice absorbing sweetened milk, becoming creamy and thick. The smell was comforting: cinnamon and sugar, and something almost like dessert, despite lacking eggs, vanilla, proper milk. Thompson cooled the pudding in mess tins, letting it set overnight in relatively cool mountain air. By Thanksgiving morning, it was firm enough to spoon, sweet enough to call dessert, special enough to mark the day. During CBI campaigns, soldiers faced unique supply challenges. Everything came over the Himalayas by air or by truck on dangerous mountain roads. Rice was local, abundant, and cheap. Using local ingredients solved problems while creating new traditions. 200 soldiers ate rice pudding for Thanksgiving dessert. Most had never eaten rice pudding before. It was Asian food adapted for American holiday. Some loved its creamy sweetness, others missed pie. All appreciated having any dessert at all. Thompson's rice pudding spread through CBI theater. Cooks learning his ratios, his technique, his trick of saving raisins for sweetness. From Burma to India to China, rice pudding became Thanksgiving dessert when pie was impossible. Thompson survived the war, occasionally made rice pudding at home. His children didn't understand why he got quiet eating it. Some memories taste like survival, like adapting, like refusing to surrender tradition to circumstance. Every spoonful carried adaptation. Local ingredients enable tradition. Rice becomes American dessert. Survival sweetens hope with whatever remains. Number 19. Coconut cream pie, marine baker in Pacific Island. Thanksgiving 1944. Standard pie required fresh cream impossible on tropical island, with no refrigeration. But coconuts grew everywhere, and powdered milk arrived in rations. Together, they could make something resembling cream pie. Baker, James Wilson, cracked coconuts, extracted meat, grated it fine. He squeezed coconut milk through cheesecloth, mixing it with reconstituted powdered milk. The combination created liquid, almost creamy, almost right. He made filling by cooking coconut milk mixture with sugar, cornstarch from ration packs, egg powder reconstituted carefully. The mixture thickened over low flame, turning pale and smooth. Not cream, but close enough for Marines who hadn't tasted dessert in months. He baked pie crusts from flour and lard, blind baking them so they stayed crispy. He filled cooled crusts with coconut mixture, topped with toasted coconut shreds. The pies looked almost elegant, almost like something from mainland bakery. During November 1944, island-based units improvised constantly. Fresh ingredients didn't exist. Creativity and local resources were only options for maintaining traditions. Coconut cream pie represented ultimate tropical adaptation of American classic. 60 Marines shared 5 pies for Thanksgiving dessert, small portions, but sweet and rich and special. They tasted coconut-a-land flavor that tasted like war, like survival, like making the best of impossible situations. Wilson's coconut cream pie spread through Pacific Islands. Every baker adding variations, improving technique, finding better ratios. From Guadalcanal to Iwo Jima, coconut pies marked Thanksgiving when traditional pies were impossible. Marines remembered those coconut pies after the war. Some tried making them at home, but they never tasted right. Some memories require context, tropical heat, combat stress, gratitude for any sweetness during war. Every bite carried place. Innovation preserves tradition. Coconuts become American classic. Survival bakes hope from tropical abundance. Number 20. Jungle coffee, instant coffee, and condensed milk. Nothing fresh, nothing fancy, just caffeine and sugar, keeping soldiers awake, alert, alive in hostile jungle. Thanksgiving, 1944, in Philippines. Private Michael Chen heated water over small fire, watchful for Japanese patrols nearby. Steam rose in humid air, mixing with jungle mist. He stirred in instant coffee crystals, watching them dissolve into dark brown liquid. He added condensed milk straight from the can, thick, sweet, pale brown. The coffee turned lighter, sweeter, almost drinkable compared to black instant coffee that tasted like burned dirt and desperation. The coffee steamed in his mess cup, warming his hands through the metal. He sipped slowly, making it last. Caffeine and sugar provided energy for patrol duty, for watch duty, for staying alive another day in jungle that wanted them dead. During late 1944, coffee was critical supply item. Instant coffee reached front lines when brewed coffee couldn't. Condensed milk added calories and made terrible coffee bearable. Together, they sustained soldiers through impossible conditions. Chun squad passed condensed milk can around, each man adding sweetness to his coffee. Small ritual marking Thanksgiving morning before they moved out on patrol. Coffee wasn't turkey, but it was something warm, something American, something familiar. Jungle coffee sustained soldiers throughout Pacific campaigns. Morning ritual that marked beginning of another day, another patrol, another step closer to going home. Thanksgiving made it special, slower drinking, more appreciation, remembrance of better coffee in better places. That condensed milk coffee tasted like survival, like endurance, like refusing to give up despite everything. Simple drink carrying profound meaning home existed. Thanksgiving existed. Normal life would exist again someday. Every sip carried hope. Caffeine sustains vigilance. Sweetness fights bitterness. Survival drinks hope from instant coffee. Would you call instant coffee Thanksgiving celebration? Would sweetened caffeine be enough? Drop a comment. Tell me your threshold. Number 21. Meatless turkey, day before the war. Thanksgiving meant turkey, always turkey. Tradition demanded turkey. After rationing began, some Thanksgivings had no meat at all. Home front sacrificed so soldiers could eat. November 1943, when Clara Morrison in Iowa faced Thanksgiving with no meat rations remaining. Her stamps were exhausted. Black market was too expensive, but her victory garden had produced vegetables all summer canned and stored in cellar. She planned entirely vegetarian Thanksgiving. Not because of preference, because meat went to soldiers. Her sacrifice meant someone in uniform might get turkey. Crisis made meatless meal patriotic duty. She served stuffing made from homemade bread, mashed potatoes with gravy from mushrooms and flour, green beans canned from summer's garden, corn from last harvest, beets pickled in August. Everything from her own labor, her own garden, requiring no ration stamps. During 1943, rationing forced creativity. Some families never tasted meat for months. Thanksgiving without turkey felt wrong, but feeding soldiers felt more important. Home front accepted sacrifice as contribution to victory. Clara's family gathered around meatless Thanksgiving table. They said grace specifically for soldiers who would eat turkey because families like them went without. Her children didn't complain. They understood their sacrifice mattered. Meatless Thanksgivings happened throughout America in 1943 and 1944, families giving up tradition so soldiers could maintain it. Every meatless table represented family choosing to sacrifice so young men in uniform could taste home for one day. Clara's sacrifice multiplied across thousands of families. Those sacrifices accumulated into turkey for soldiers overseas. Thanksgiving for men who needed it more than civilians, victory purchased partly through meatless holiday tables. Every vegetable carried sacrifice. Home front enables battlefield. Meatless becomes patriotic. Survival serves hope to soldiers through sacrifice. Number 22, Victory Garden Feast. Before rationing, store-bought food, purchased ingredients. Money solved Thanksgiving dinner problems. After rationing began, Victory Gardens provided food without ration stamps, food that cost only labor and planning and patience. November 1944, when Helen Rodriguez in California harvested last vegetables from her Victory Garden specifically for Thanksgiving. Potatoes dug from earth that morning, green beans picked from vines, carrots pulled orange and perfect, onions that had cured in garage, everything grown by her hands. She cooked entirely from her garden. Not because she wanted to, because ration stamps were gone and garden was abundant. Crisis made self-sufficiency necessary and deeply satisfying. She roasted chicken from her backyard Kupawen hen that stopped laying eggs. She made stuffing from homemade bread using flour she'd hoarded. She mashed potatoes, boiled beans, roasted carrots, very vegetable from soil she'd turned and tended since spring. During 1944, Victory Gardens fed 40% of American produce. Families grew food to free commercial agriculture for military. Victory Gardens meant survival, patriotism, self-sufficiency, pride. Thanksgiving proved their worth entire feast, needing no purchased ingredients. Helen's family ate Thanksgiving dinner knowing every item's origin. The potato from that corner, the beans from that row, the chicken from that coop. Connection to food that modern Americans had forgotten, war forced them to remember. Victory Garden Thanksgivings represented American resilience. Families growing their own abundance when purchasing it became impossible. Every garden fresh meal proved citizens would sacrifice, adapt, overcome any challenge victory required. Helen's garden fed her family through winter after Thanksgiving. She canned excess, stored root vegetables, preserved everything possible. Victory Garden was survival tool, patriotic duty, source of pride. She grew their food while her brother fought overseas. Every bite carried effort. Gardens represent resistance to hardship. Homegrown becomes patriotic. Survival cultivates hope from backyard soil. Number 23, Ration Stamp. Thanksgiving, November 1943. Thanksgiving dinner required ration stamps for every ingredient. Families calculated exactly what they could afford with stamps they'd saved for weeks. Butter, sugar, meat, canned goods, everything rationed, everything precious, everything calculated to precise points. Martha Wilson in Detroit saved ration stamps for 3 months for Thanksgiving. She planned every dish around available stamps. Turkey required most stamps. Side dishes required careful calculation. Dessert stretched her stamp budget to absolute limit. She spread ration books across kitchen table, red stamps for meat, blue stamps for processed foods. Each stamp represented sacrifice elsewhere. Stamps spent on Thanksgiving meant less food for December, January, February. But Thanksgiving mattered enough to justify the cost. She shopped carefully, measuring stamps against available goods. Butcher had small turkeys expensive in stamps, but necessary for tradition. Sugar for pie, butter for rolls. Each purchase calculated weighed, justified against months' remaining stamps. During 1943, rationing forced Americans to prioritize holiday meals, competed with daily needs. Families chose whether to splurge on Thanksgiving or spread stamps across weeks. Most chose Thanksgiving tradition mattered more than daily convenience. Martha's Thanksgiving used every stamp she'd saved. Her table held turkey, mashed potatoes, green beans, rolls, apple pie. Traditional meal that cost 3 months of careful rationing, of doing without, of planning and sacrifice. Ration stamp Thanksgivings happened in every American home during war. Families balancing patriotic sacrifice with maintaining tradition. Stamps measured not just food, but values what mattered enough to sacrifice for, what traditions were worth the cost. Martha's family understood every dish's price, not dollar price, stamp price, sacrifice price, patriotic price. They ate slowly, grateful for abundance that cost more than money it cost, careful planning, and months of doing without other foods. Every bite carried calculation. Rationing measures priorities. Stamps become sacrifice. Survival celebrates through careful planning. Number 24. Mock whipped cream. Before the war, real whipped cream, heavy cream, whipped stiff, sweetened perfectly, topping every pie. After rationing, no cream existed, but gelatin and milk and sugar could create something similar if you didn't examine it too closely. November 1944, when baker Sarah Thompson needed whipped cream for Thanksgiving pies, cream was impossible rationed, expensive, reserved for children and elderly. But her mother remembered Depression-era recipe using gelatin for mock whipped cream. She dissolved gelatin in small amounts of cold milk, not cream, scientific substitute created from desperation. But chemistry could mimic texture, if not flavor, exactly. She whipped the gelatin mixture over ice bath, beating air into it until it fluffed and peaked like real whipped cream. She added sugar, vanilla, kept whipping until it looked almost right. The texture was lighter, airier, less rich than real cream. During 1944, bakers learned countless substitution tricks. Rationing demanded creativity. Mock whipped cream was one of many Depression-era recipes returning to service. Gelatin provided structure, air provided volume, sugar and vanilla provided flavor. Hope provided belief it was close enough. Sarah topped pumpkin pies with mock whipped cream. From distance, it looked real. Close examination revealed differences to stiff, to shiny, wrong mouthfeel. But it was sweet, it was white, it looked festive on pie. Mock whipped cream spread through bakeries and home kitchens nationwide, women sharing recipes, comparing techniques, debating which version worked best. Every baker trying to create illusion of abundance when abundance was impossible. Families ate pie topped with mock whipped cream, knowing it was substitute, but grateful for any topping. Children didn't know difference. Adults remembered real cream and hoped war would end soon so they could taste it again. Every dollop carried ingenuity. Substitutes preserve tradition. Gelatin mimics luxury. Survival whips. Hope from chemistry. Number 25. Eggless pumpkin pie, November 1944. Rationed eggs were saved for soldiers. Homefront bakers made pumpkin pie without eggs tradition, adapted so troops could have breakfast eggs, Thanksgiving eggs, eggs that sustained them in combat. Baker, Mary Wilson, faced Thanksgiving with no eggs available. Ration stamps were exhausted, but pumpkin grew in victory gardens everywhere. She would make pie without eggs because soldiers needed them more than civilians needed perfect pie. She researched Depression-era recipes, finding eggless pumpkin pie formula. Cornstarch replaced eggs as binder. Extra milk compensated for missing richness. Increased spices masked any flavor differences. Chemistry replacing tradition through necessity and determination. She mixed pumpkin puree from her garden with milk, sugar, cornstarch, cinnamon, ginger, cloves. She poured it into crusts, baked carefully, watching for proper setting without eggs to help. The chemistry was uncertain. Would it work? Would it set? Would it taste right? During 1944, eggs were critically rationed. Farmers couldn't produce enough for military and civilian needs simultaneously. Homefront accepted doing without, so soldiers ate properly. Eggless baking became patriotic duty. Sacrifice enabling victory. Wilson's pies came from oven set and firm. Not quite right texture, less custardy, more pudding-like. But pumpkin flavor was strong, spices were perfect, and it was pie on Thanksgiving that made it successful, despite missing eggs. Eggless pumpkin pie recipes spread through women's magazines, newspapers, radio programs. Government promoted egg conservation. Bakers learned to work without eggs in dozens of recipes. Thanksgiving pie was most important test good traditions survive without traditional ingredients. Families ate eggless pumpkin pie knowing soldiers got their eggs. Every slice represented sacrifice, patriotism, choosing to do without so young men in combat had protein they needed. Pie tasted like more than pumpkin, it tasted like contribution to victory. Every bite carried sacrifice. Eggs serve soldiers, substitutes preserve tradition. Survival bakes patriotism into pie. Number 26. Butterless rolls before rationing. Butter made rolls tender, rich, golden, delicious. After rationing began, lard replaced butter in every recipe. Homefront adapted because butter went to soldiers, to military, to victory. November 1943, when baker Helen Martinez made Thanksgiving rolls without butter, butter rations were exhausted. But lard was plentiful. Every family rendered their own fat, saved bacon grease, hoarded cooking fats for rationing and for use. She made rolled dough with lard instead of butter. The dough felt different, greasier, less pleasant to handle. She shaped rolls carefully, letting them rise, baking them until golden brown despite missing butter's richness. The rolls came from oven crusty outside, soft inside, steaming and fresh. They tasted different, less rich, slightly porky undertone from lard. But they were hot bread on Thanksgiving that made them precious, regardless of ingredients. During 1943, butter went to military before civilians. Homefront used lard, vegetable shortening, chicken fat, anything but butter. Bakers learned to work with substitutes to make them work despite lacking butter's flavor and texture. Martinez's family ate butterless rolls, spreading them with apple butter made from Victory Garden apples. The combination worked fruit, sweetness, masking lard's flavor, creating something delicious, despite rationing forcing substitutions. Butterless baking became American standard during war. Every cook learning to use lard to make it work, to create traditions without traditional ingredients. Rolls, biscuits, pie crusts, all adapted to available fats. Thanksgiving tested whether substitutes could really replace butter in family traditions. After war ended, butter returned to stores. Some families kept using lard. They'd learned it worked fine, cost less, made acceptable rolls when butter wasn't really necessary. War taught lessons that survived peace. Every roll carried adaptation. Lard replaces luxury. Substitutes become sufficient. Survival bakes hope from available fats. Number 27. Sugar-rationed cranberry relish, November 1943. Sugar was strictly rationed. Cranberry sauce traditionally required cups of sugar. Families adapted, using honey, corn syrup, maple syrup, any sweetener, not requiring precious ration stamps or requiring fewer stamps than sugar. Clara Morrison made cranberry relish with honey from local beekeeper. No ration stamps required for honey. Bees kept producing, despite war. Sweet source that bypassed rationing entirely while creating something special for Thanksgiving. She cooked fresh cranberries with honey instead of sugar. The flavor was different floral undertones from honey, less sharp sweetness than sugar provided. She added orange zest from Victory Garden orange tree, making relish complex and sophisticated. The cranberry honey relish tasted unusual but delicious. Honey's complexity enhanced cranberry's tartness. Orange added brightness. Together, they created sauce that was different but special. Traditional but adapted. Thanksgiving despite rationing. During 1943, families sought sugar alternatives constantly. Honey, molasses, corn syrup, maple syrup, anything sweet that didn't require ration stamps. Thanksgiving recipes adapted using available sweeteners, creating new traditions from necessity. Morrison's honey cranberry relish spread through her community. Neighbors sharing honey sources, comparing recipes, discovering that honey worked beautifully with cranberries. War forced innovation that improved traditional recipes accidentally. After war, sugar became available again. Some families returned to sugar-sweetened cranberry sauce. Others kept using honey vate, discovered they preferred it. War forced experiments that became permanent improvements to traditional recipes. Morrison made honey cranberry relish every Thanksgiving after war ended. Her grandchildren never knew it came from rationing, from necessity, from making the best of wartime hardship. They just knew it was Grandma's special recipe, traditional in their family. Every spoonful carried innovation. Honey replaces sugar successfully. Rationing forces improvement. Survival sweetens tradition with available resources. Number 28. Canned vegetable medley. Government issued canned vegetables to families throughout war. Green beans, corn, peas, carrots, all canned, all the same drab olive color, all tasting vaguely metallic. Thanksgiving, 1944, Families made these government-issued cans into something resembling festive side dish. Helen Rodriguez opened 4 cans of mixed vegetables for Thanksgiving, each can labeled government surplus or emergency ration or similar bureaucratic designation. She drained them, trying to remove the metallic-tasting liquid, washed them if possible. She heated the vegetables in pan with margarine, onion, if available, salt and pepper, and hope. The vegetables softened further, colors remaining dull, textures becoming mushier. Nothing fresh had this texture canning destroyed crispness, leaving only soft, uniform consistency. She served canned vegetable medley alongside other Thanksgiving dishes. It looked saddle-of green mixture, without visual appeal. It tasted institutional, utilitarian, nothing like fresh garden vegetables. But it was vegetables on Thanksgiving, which meant something. During 1944, canned vegetables sustained home front, fresh produce went to military. Victory gardens helped, but winter meant canned goods. Government distributed surplus to families, ensuring everyone had something, even if it wasn't ideal. Rodriguez's family ate government-issued vegetables without complaint. They understood soldiers overseas were eating from cans every day. Sharing that experience connected them to servicemen, made sacrifice feel meaningful, turned unpleasant vegetables into patriotic duty. Canned vegetable medleys appeared on thousands of Thanksgiving tables in 1944. Every family receiving government rations, every family making the best of institutional food, every family grateful for having anything at all. Those drab green vegetables tasted like gratitude, like sacrifice, like contribution to victory. Unappetizing but meaningful. Nobody complained. Complaining about free food during war felt ungrateful, unpatriotic, shameful when soldiers faced worse. Every bite carried patriotism. Government rations sustain nation. Canned becomes acceptable. Survival serves hope from institutional food. Number 29. Powdered milk gravy. Fresh milk was rationed for children. Adults drank powdered milk reconstituted with water-thin, chalky, vaguely milk-flavored liquid that nobody loved but everyone accepted. Thanksgiving gravy traditionally required fresh cream or milk. November 1944, it required powdered milk instead. Cook Sarah Thompson made turkey gravy with powdered milk. She mixed flour with turkey drippings, creating roux. She reconstituted powdered milk carefully, whisking it into roux slowly, hoping chemistry would work, despite using substitute ingredient. The gravy thickened, turned brown, smelled right. Taste was slightly off chokiness from powdered milk, less richness than fresh cream provided, but it was hot gravy on Thanksgiving. That made it successful, despite imperfection. She served gravy over turkey, over mashed potatoes, over stuffing. Her family barely noticed the difference sore. They noticed and didn't mention it. Complaining about gravy during war felt petty when soldiers were dying overseas. During 1944, powdered milk sustained home front. Fresh milk went to children, pregnant women, ill people, healthy adults, accepted powdered milk without complaint. Cooking with it required learning different chemistry, different techniques, different expectations. Thompson's powdered milk gravy spread through home kitchens nationwide, women sharing tips for making it work, for masking chalkiness, for creating something acceptable from inadequate ingredients. Thanksgiving tested whether powdered milk could really replace fresh in traditional recipes. After war, fresh milk returned to stores. Thompson never used powdered milk again. Her children never knew struggle of making gravy work with substitute ingredients. War memories she kept private, no need to burden next generation with details of sacrifice. That powdered milk gravy tasted like wartime, like rationing, like doing without so soldiers could have proper food. Every spoonful represented sacrifice, acceptance, determination to maintain tradition despite inadequate resources. Every pour carried sacrifice. Powdered sustains when fresh is impossible. Gravy connects despite imperfection. Survival thickens hope from reconstituted milk. Number 30. Patriotic layer cake. Red, white, and blue. American colors baked into Thanksgiving dessert. November 1944, when baker Mary Wilson created patriotic layer cake as statement America endures. America celebrates, America wins despite everything war demands. Red layer used beet juice for coloring. No red food dye existed during rationing. White layer was plain vanilla cake, precious vanilla extracted from hoarded medical alcohol. Blue layer used mashed blueberries from Victory Garden, canned in summer, saved for something special. She baked 3 layers separately, let them cool completely. She stacked them carefully, red bottom, white middle, blue top. She frosted entire cake with white icing made from powdered sugar and margarine. The layers showed through when sliced patriotic flag captured in cake. The cake tasted like sacrifice and celebration simultaneously. Beet-flavored cake was unusual. Blueberry layer was jammy and sweet. Together, they created something unique, something meaningful, something that transcended ordinary dessert into patriotic statement. During late 1944, Americans knew victory was coming. Celebrations began reflecting that confidence. Patriotic foods appeared on tables, red, white, and blue, representing hope, determination, faith that war would end soon with American victory. Wilson's family sliced that patriotic cake, serving it with pride. Each slice showed all 3 colors, visible reminder of what they were fighting for, what they were sacrificing for, what victory would mean. Desert became declaration. Patriotic layer cakes appeared at Thanksgiving tables across America in late 1944 and through 1945. Every baker adding their own variations, their own creative colorings, their own patriotic declarations. Thanksgiving became expression of confidence, of approaching victory, of hope finally justified. That cake tasted like more than dessert. It tasted like winning, like surviving, like having endured years of sacrifice and finally seeing light at war's end. Every bite was prayer, celebration, patriotic declaration, all combined. Every slice carried hope. Colors represent values. Patriotism bakes into dessert. Survival celebrates coming victory in 3 layers. 30 Thanksgiving dinners, 1941 to 1945. Soldiers and families making traditions survive through war. K-rations in Italian foxholes. Roast beef in British pubs. French village turkey. POW Camp Red Cross packages. Field kitchen stuffing for 500. Dehydrated everything. Spam glazed with pineapple. Powdered eggs becoming pie. Ration, cranberry sauce. Victory Garden, green beans. They didn't have normal Thanksgiving. They had whatever war allowed: canned meat, reconstituted vegetables, tropical substitutes, rationed ingredients, but they had Thanksgiving. Because these soldiers and families understood something profound. Thanksgiving isn't about the food. It's about refusing to surrender tradition to circumstance. It's about maintaining hope when everything else falls apart. These 30 dinners prove American resilience. Soldiers celebrating in submarines, on aircraft carriers, in jungle foxholes. Families celebrating with ration stamps, victory gardens, substitute ingredients. Everyone adapting, improvising, maintaining tradition despite impossible obstacles. 16 million served. Millions more sacrificed at home. Every Thanksgiving during those years, marked by absence, by substitution, by making the best of terrible circumstances. But Thanksgiving survived. Tradition persisted. Hope endured. Survival celebrates with whatever remains, always has, always will. If these stories changed how you see your Thanksgiving table, hit like. If you're grateful for abundance these soldiers and families never knew, drop a comment honoring their sacrifice. Subscribe for more forgotten history that America needs to remember. These 30 dinners weren't perfect, but they were Thanksgiving. And that was everything.